All right, having a quorum present, I'll call to order the Historic Landmarks Commission meeting of September 7th, 2016. First item on the agenda is general public comment. Any member of the public may address our commission on any item that is not on today's agenda. I do have one speaker slip for this general public comment, and that would be, I'm believing, Kellum DeForest. There's no name on this, but it looks like you're right.
You're right. Thank you. I'm here. Excuse me. I was not able to attend the Tuesday Planning Commission's AUD workshop, but I did see it on TV, and they seemed to do a lot of talking, and it didn't get very far, and they didn't seem to really take in the fact that the incentive program is producing plans for large apartment buildings that, when built, will negatively impact Santa Barbara's charm, history, and livability. And what I would like, and could this HLC formally request the City Council to put a halt on accepting new applications for AUD projects? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DeForest. See no other speaker slips. I'll close public comment and go on to the next item, which is approval of the minutes of the HLC meeting of August 24th, 2016. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
I have a motion by Drury, a second by Mahan. Under discussion, are there any additions, corrections, or clarification on those minutes? Anyone? Okay, we'll wait for Commissioner Murray.
Just a small one.
Which page?
Page 5 of 7 in the motion.
Page what?
Page 5. Just on number 6. Number 6.
It's number 6.
Just add English vernacular style.
So the comment should read: mullions in the windows need revision to be more consistent with English.
Yeah, vernacular.
Vernacular style.
To be.
And the existing original windows. Is that okay, Ms. Sanchez?
That's about it.
Anyone else? That's pretty good. Good job, Ms. Sanchez. All right. Do I have a motion then? A vote for the motion.
Yes, we have a motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
I'm abstaining on number 5 because I had to leave.
Commissioner Murray is abstaining on 3115 Calle Mariposa, item number 5. Okay. Next, then, is the consent calendar. Ms. Hernandez.
Thank you, Chair Seating and Commissioners. We had 2535 Anacapa Street, which was received final approval as submitted. We had 1116 Garden Street, restoring the reopening the porch of that Queen Anne that just became a structure of merit under the Mills Act. It got final approval as submitted. And 231 East Coda for some landscaping changes got final approval as submitted. The consent calendar was reviewed by Mahan and Vania reviewed item number C on the landscaping.
Okay.
And there was a fourth
Actually, I have
But it wasn't
a question
so
for...
we did that informally.
I see.
We did an informal one.
Question for Mr. Vena on item C. Was there any room to replace the 3 ficus trees with something of significant biomass?
Actually, there was an entire landscape plan submitted that had not been reviewed before, so I took the liberty to review it at that time and made this decision to eliminate some of those trees so that they can get new ones in there.
Okay, so there are some new ones proposed.
Yes, there are.
Okay. I just hate to see 3
boxes, so they'll be nice dimension.
Just hate to see 3 trees go away without some sort of replacement. Did you have a comment or a question, Commissioner Murray?
Well, I had a question on the tree, and that's been answered. But on item B, is that the one that just been recently? We just designated that recently, right? Okay.
Yeah, they're the ones they found all the original porch posts and railings underneath the enclosure.
Yeah.
So he just was bringing his final drawings to consent for final review.
All right. Do I have a motion to ratify the consent calendar? Mr. LeWay?
Second.
Second.
Aye.
Motion by Lavoy, second by Drury. Under discussion, is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Thank you, Commissioner Mahan and Commissioner Vena, for doing that. Next item on the agenda is announcements. Are there any requests by applicants for continuances or withdrawals? Any future agenda items on City Council, Planning Commission, or Parks and Rec that we need to be aware of? Or are there any appeals?
Yes. There's the last item on the agenda, 225 Kaya Manzanita, is postponing for 2 weeks at the request of the applicant. And that was our last item on today. And Commissioner Schallenberger will be absent today. And the Mills Act projects that were on that needed to be approved by council because they're over the cap are going to council on consent on September 20th. So that's the day before your next meeting.
Okay. Does anyone need to be there for? I don't.
They usually don't even pull
Seems
them
like
off.
you can probably handle that.
Yeah.
Okay. Do I have a motion to postpone item number 12?
Mr. Chair, before you make the motion,
Probably it won't be a problem because we have a small agenda today, but I do have to leave at 5.
Okay. I hope I can get you out of there by then.
Is that to go to church?
I
think we all do.
Novena.
Okay.
Maybe.
Do I have a motion to postpone item 12?
Second.
Motion by Lavoy, second by Murray. Any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Next. Are there any other announcements by commissioners? I do have one announcement. The Historic Landmarks Commission and the Historic Landmarks Commission staff has been invited to the Santa Barbara Beautiful Awards presentation on Sunday, September 25th, and that's from 4:30 to 5 is the garden reception and red carpet welcome, and then at 6 o'clock is the awards ceremony. Gwen Stauffer from the Lotus Land will be the mistress of ceremonies. The invitation is gratis. There will be no charge. It's especially important that some commissioners attend because our friend Mr. DeForest is going to be honored with the Jack Aranda Award for outstanding community service. So this is a free invite. If anybody is wishing to go, please let me know as soon as possible. The deadline for the RSVP is actually today, but I talked to the secretary over there, and she said that they would extend that a day or so. So please let me know if you would like to go.
What's the time and date?
Here's information for you if you'd like that. Anybody else like some information on it?
I'd like information.
September 25th from 4:30 to
Thank you.
5:30?
Basically 4:30 to probably about 8 o'clock. The award ceremony usually lasts about 2 hours. But the red carpet welcome and the garden reception is 4:30 to 5:30, and then the award ceremony is actually promptly at 6 p.m. Anybody else interested? Okay. I've got plenty here, so.
This is going to be at the Music
The
Academy.
Music Academy, correct. It's a very nice venue to have it. Okay? Do you want to take it? You can have it. All right. No other announcements? Subcommittee reports.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Drury.
I'm just going to give a very brief report on the AUD subcommittee meeting. We met last week, Wednesday, and it doesn't seem to be getting any shorter, but I think it's fair to say we made progress, mainly identifying areas that need to be finalized in the report before we present to the full commission. Mm-hmm. And I'll be opaque, and that's as opaque as I'll be.
We're going to meet next week.
We're going to meet next week. We haven't decided Monday or Tuesday. One of those 2 days for, we hope, a wrap up.
Do we have a commitment? Do we have a date for the meeting next week?
I have to check with Irma. She's in meetings all day, so after this meeting, I'll go and run up and see what I can
If
do.
we cannot have either of those days, I suggest we get together in the lobby out here and meet. We need to get it done.
Do you have your
Yes.
microphone clipped to your collar?
We do.
I don't think it's clipped, actually.
Oh, sorry.
It's not on.
I must say that it's sort of like a hydra. It's a multi-headed monster, and it needs to be, all those heads need to be addressed and before we present.
And we need to get together, and if we can only meet on Monday and Tuesday, then we need to decide the location now and plan on it.
Okay, I can do that when I go back upstairs.
Yep.
We need to know before the meeting is over with. I'm sorry to be pushy, but
Well, I
yeah,
can
we
only
need
be
to
in one
get this
place at one
done.
time.
Yeah.
But, I'll go
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Grumbine, I think
staff doesn't necessarily have to be present. We've gone over this many times with staff, and we can start doing the finished stuff ourselves.
I mean, and if it is any, if we don't have another spot, we can also meet at our office, so, downtown. But I had another thing to add. Yesterday at the Planning Commission, I did a little spiel, had a little summary of what we've been working on. Unfortunately, it was truncated a bit because of there were so many slips that everyone's time got cut in half, and we had 1 minute instead of 2. So I had 2 minutes to do it, but we kind of gave a basic summary, but there was a lot of points that were missed just because there was so much to talk about. And I showed them the 3D map, and I showed them some of the other concepts that we've been discussing, and livability, and the extra requests that we'll be needing of applicants and staff to be able to properly judge them, and the number crunching, and a number of the items that we had talked about. But it was kind of more of a haphazard, quick list as opposed to a very thorough analysis. I'm a little unsure as to what our proper steps are from here. Obviously, we, as I understand it, we have the purview to make our suggestion from HLC's point of view to City Council, and I don't know exactly how that relates with the Planning Commission and whether they can take our suggestions, leave our suggestions, do whatever they want, and make their own recommendation. But I'm not sure the dynamics of those. So we're kind of doing our thing, but I don't know. Because the reason why I say that, especially after the meeting yesterday, was that they were very hesitant on doing anything, and and they kind of their next plan was to try to figure something out in a couple weeks. Possibly, but staff wasn't going to have stuff prepared, and they were very undecisive as what would happen by October, whatever the date was, 16th or 23rd or whatever. So it
is
seemed...
Mr. Lamone available?
He's on vacation.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
No.
I'm texting Irma right now trying to get a slot for you guys.
So I think part of it was the takeaway. A lot of my takeaway from yesterday was their Planning Commission may or may not do something and have some semblance of a recommendation to City Council. Yeah. So I don't know what our response should be internally, or
well, go ahead, Commissioner Rios.
Well, we are a charter commission,
right,
and that gives us a level of responsibility to report to the council. The Planning Commission did, on one of their motions, want to review our suggestions, but again, we are a chartered commission, and we respond to the City Council. My goal is to get this finished as soon as possible, because the people that are coming before us with projects need to know what our guidelines and goals are, and it's only fair that they be warned or informed as to what we're looking for in protecting the historic areas of the city. So I am pushing hard to get another meeting and get it scheduled and get it done and get this going, because there is a joint City Council and Planning Commission meeting in October, which they were going to be discussing this. And as of this meeting yesterday, I got the opinion that the Planning Commission isn't going to be anywhere near anything.
Yeah.
But I want our work completed and done, and I want to get back to you people
before then,
on our next meeting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I would like it scheduled for the next meeting, that we're going to be coming in with
a document.
A document, yes.
Mm-hmm. So that needs to be put on a discussion item for the next meeting.
And we can ask the city attorney to review it and things like this, so that everything is done above board, clear, and intent with the intent clear.
Well,
considering that there's such a time constraint, I would suggest that the subcommittee members, Mr. Gumbine, Ms. Arias, Mr. Mahan, and Mr. Drury, get together, whether it be at Harrison Design Associates office or whether it be somewhere else. But let's
Dargan's.
a lot of work will get done.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a comment on the Planning Commission issue, if I may.
Yeah, let me just finish, if I
Okay.
may. Let's not necessarily wait for staff to have available time, because it doesn't sound like they are going to have available time. They can be made aware that you are going to meet somewhere and that you're going to do this work, but there is an impetus and a very timely concern or timely constraint on this to go forward. I think Mr. Mahan, and then...
Now, I just wanted to point out that the Historic Landmarks Commission and the ABR review AUD, and the Planning Commission doesn't review AUD unless it's sent to them,
Right.
as a courtesy. So it's really our prerogative and ABR's prerogative, and we've always had different guidelines. ABR and Historic Landmarks Commission have had their own guidelines. That's been forever. And so I don't see any reason why we can't proceed to complete our guidelines, get them to the city attorney, make sure that they're all okay, and then go on to the city council.
Well said. I wholeheartedly agree. I think we need to keep moving on that and not let anything hold us up on that. Commissioner Murray.
yeah, well, in our minutes, it states exactly what the ad hoc committee that was put together to do, and the one is to do the design guidelines.
Right.
So I concur with that the work can happen, and once it's done, then staff could help with whatever other parts they do.
And may I just add, Mr. Chair?
Yes, Commissioner Drury.
We probably don't need the input of staff at this point. I think it's been presented by staff, and I think it's really up to us to...
However, I would like staff to get an invitation
Yes, of
to be
course.
included. But it's if they can't make the time, I understand that.
So Irma's on her way back. She's from her meeting. She's going to come in.
Okay.
And I think she was just trying to find times we had conference room and that Jaime was available because he gets
Right.
back on Monday. So she was thinking,
Okay.
give him a day.
Well,
So
then
Tuesday would
let's-
probably be best, but she said I told her to come in, so hopefully she'll come
Okay,
in.
so let's table then item E, the subcommittee reports, and we'll get back to that as soon as Ms. Unzueta is available and we can fit that in our agenda. I want to keep rolling on the agenda so that we don't get behind and we can get some time in for Ms. Unzueta to address this with us. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is item 1. It's a miscellaneous action item for 208 West Quinto Street. This is a review of the staff report and public hearing to consider designation as a structure of merit, the Bitterly House, a craftsman-style house constructed in 1922, located at 208 West Quinto Street. Ms. Hernandez.
Thank you, Chair Suding. And the owner and the architect are here for this project.
Welcome.
And so we have 4 proposed designations today and Mills Act contracts. None of them need to be referred up to council. They're all within our cap limit for the property value. So we'll start there, and I'll just go through them. So the Bitterly House. This house was a craftsman style. It was originally built as a one-story in 1922 and then had a second-story addition in 1929. Both of the permits have Mr. Bitterly's name on them as the original owner. And here's the house just off the De La Vina in the center of the block on West Quinto Street. And the proposed boundary is just 5 feet around the house and the garage, because the garage is original, has the same thin siding as the house. But on the same parcel is a mid-century building that we're excluding from the designation, as it doesn't really contribute to the significance. So the building was completed in the craftsman style. The craftsman style is such a popular style in California, as many of you may already know, because we've reviewed several of them. But just for the public's knowledge, I'll just, these were often shipped as kits to different people's homes. In fact, the Ready Cut Bungalow Company estimated it shipped over 40,000 bungalow kits to Southern California alone from 1910 through the 1920s. In Santa Barbara, the Craftsman enjoyed this popularity as still seen today throughout our downtown neighborhoods. And the architectural types characterizes Santa Barbara's residential expansion that was largely driven by the growth of the city's resort and transportation industries. And therefore, the style is important to the heritage of Santa Barbara. This house in particular exemplifies the Craftsman style with its character-defining massing and form with its side-facing gable and central front porch. The shored, wide, tapered columns on large piers and the triple sets of lights with multiple panes in the upper sashes. The building really does have outstanding attention to materials and detail, especially in these wonderful old-growth woods and wood windows. You'll see when I do the scope of work, these windows from the inside, and you'll see the hardware that's on there, and they're actually quite nice, good windows and exemplary. So the Bitterly House really does still convey its original appearance from 1929 when the second edition was cut in, and it still has on its original location, design, setting, materials, workmanship, feeling, and association. The designation subcommittee did review this. The staff and the subcommittee recommend the HLC designate the house as a structure of merit, and then I can go through the scope of work that they're proposing where we get to see some really interesting interior details.
Okay. All right, I will open public comment, and I have one speaker slip from Mr. DeForest. Mr. DeForest, please.
Thank you. I'm just wondering why the whole property isn't landmarked. It's looking pretty much as it did. I don't know.
Go ahead.
Is there a reason just to have the house solely landmarked and not the lot that it is on, the parcel? Thank you.
Mr. Hernandez?
Portion of the parcel has a mid-century modern house on it that doesn't really contribute to this setting. And so for the Mills Act, and this is what they're going to be restoring, and this is what qualifies for a structure of merit. The other property doesn't. So
Or the other structure on the property.
On the property.
Yeah. There's two structures on the property, Mr. DeForest. One is a mid-century modern, and so we don't want to do the whole property.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was not explained.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. I will close public comment. Ask the commission if they have any questions, comments. No? Someone like to make a motion? I have some language here if you want some.
Sure. Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Drury?
Item 1.
Item 1, the motion to adopt Resolution 2018-6 to designate as a structure of merit the house located at 208 West Quinto Street.
Second.
We have a motion by Drury, a second by Mahan. Is there any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? I would like to thank the owner very much for your hard work on this, and I really do appreciate your process.
Yes.
Oh, beg your pardon.
She said,
Well, both of you. Both of you. The owner and the
she's
architect.
the architect.
The owner and the
Would you
architect.
like this report?
I didn't mean to.
Do you have these reports?
Didn't mean to omit you. Sorry. All right. Next item on the agenda then is item 2. This is also a miscellaneous action item for 208 East Quinto Street. This is a review of proposed Mills Act program 10-year rehabilitation plan and recommendation to the Community Development Director to approve the Mills Act contract. Ms.
Yes.
Please.
I'm just run through some of the interior photos and scope of work. They want to repair and paint the interior of the house, and I love these built-ins from that era. They're just,
Do you like them? Do you
I
really
love
like them?
Yeah, I love them. They're going to restore the existing windows. They're going to refinish the hardwood floors, and they're also going to replace kitchen plumbing, electrical, and finish, but they're going to restore the original cabinetry and hardware.
Cool.
This is the garage that they're going to rebuild to match the existing with that thin siding. They need to do some seismic anchorage of the foundation, termite and dry rot repair and repaint the existing siding. They're going to reconstruct the deteriorated columns to match the existing area roof and add new gutters. They also are replacing plumbing and electrical. It was suggested by the designation subcommittee that they should also work to make the second exterior stair to the second floor more compatible with the house and remove the chain link fence on the rear property, which they agreed to add to their scope of work. I think that's that.
That's that?
That's that.
Okay. I will open public comment. I do not have any speaker slips for this, so I'll close it and bring it to the commission if they have any questions or comments.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Drury,
of the owner, are those built-ins? Do you know what kind of wood they are?
please come in to the front here. And if you don't mind just having a seat, pressing the long oblong button at the bottom. And then state your name, and then do the best you can to answer Commissioner Drury's question. Press that button there. There you go.
Larry Moriarty.
Okay, welcome. You can release it.
Owner. Hi, Laura Lee Boyle.
Press it again.
Am I
There you go.
pressing?
Let's release. There you go. Laura who?
Laura Lee Boyle, architect.
Okay, great.
I'm
Welcome.
new. So I kind of wanted to go around the table and meet everybody, but that might be a challenge. So I'm new to Santa Barbara. Thank you.
You're welcome.
From up north in Davis, so this is all new to me.
Great.
Loving it, and Nicole's been great helping us out
It
with
sure is, yeah.
the newly purchased property that we're looking at restoring. So
you know
I
what
don't
type of
know.
wood?
No, I don't know. Many layers of paint on the.
So it says made of lead.
Yeah, probably, right?
What it would typically be made of in that time period? I was thinking redwood might be too soft.
Pine.
I don't know. Pine, you think?
Pine.
Maybe pine.
I would think pine.
Ms. Hernandez, what do you?
I would
pretty
think
rotted.
pine is what good.
Yeah. It's rotted. It's pretty bad.
That
Yeah.
Built in? Really?
so that's going to be replaced as in keeping with.
Yeah, even the part of the hardwood floor, I sanded the whole hardwood floor, and there's a lot of
Dry rot.
dry rot, and there's termites.
Were you talking? I thought you asked about the cabinets.
That right there. Well, he was just suggesting that's
There's some dry rot on that.
Yeah.
There?
Yeah.
Well, I just think that your efforts are going to make this beautiful house even better. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Well, what I was trying to do, this is all new to me. This is not my profession at all, so that's why
It is now.
I hired her to show me, to teach me what to do. But I was trying to conform to what everybody wanted, and the biggest thing was the garage, conforming it into the house and to get the stairwell and I said, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm retired from the NFL, so I played football. I don't know anything about construction.
He belongs to that same church.
So I hired Laura Lee, and she's really helped me, and Nicole has really been great. And I just said, you guys run with it. I have a daughter that's in nursing school, not that you need to hear this, but I thought this is a great piece of property to have down there. My daughter's, I'm close to the hospital.
Right.
She's going to become a nurse. I don't know what I'm going to do. Let's clean it up and fix it up and look sharp and look nice. I've been in Santa Barbara my whole life.
Terrific. Yeah, this is a neighborhood that needs some attention. There are certainly some wonderful houses or homes down there, wonderful properties. But any attention that we can give is wonderful, and we do appreciate it very much, very, very much.
May I ask you one more
We
question?
also have.
Yes,
Mr.
one more
Chair,
question from Commissioner Drury, and then I'll get to you.
I played for the Houston Oilers.
Okay.
What position?
Fullback.
All right. Wow.
Now the Tennessee Titans. Now the Tennessee Titans. They're no more Oilers.
Is that going to change your vote?
Those actually halfbacks.
Commissioner Rios, please.
For future reference,
I
there
have a
we have,
question.
we have
Look at you, Commissioner Rios has the
guideline
floor.
books that are available for you. Nicole would know about the guidelines, and that can tell you, various things of the history and what goes on in Santa Barbara.
neighborhoods,
Yeah, and
great.
there is also a book called El Pueblo Viejo that is going to be, the second edition is going to come out in November, and that has colored photographs of a lot of the buildings in the city with who built and when and things like that. It'll be under $20, so look for these. These will help you as references as you continue in your career.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Commissioner Mahan, please.
Yeah, the hardware on the cabinets, do they have the little
Push buttons.
push buttons so that they don't come open during the earthquake? Have you noticed that?
You know, I don't know. I just remember they have the little glass.
Oh, they have a glass, so that's
Yeah.
they don't have a-
Glass
So
knobs.
it's probably a catch on the inside. With just,
I think the kitchen may have those.
A lot of these old houses, they had the push button so the cabinet
those.
wouldn't come open during the earthquake. It's very, and if you have those, you want to be sure and preserve
So
them.
those are turns. Is that-
Yeah, those are seldom.
hopefully save them. But okay. So I am looking for a motion, and I have some cheat sheet notes here.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion
Mahan.
to recommend that the Community Development Director approve the proposed Mills Act contract for the house located at 208 West Quinto Street.
We have a motion by Mahan, second by Murray. Is there any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Yep, we are going to recommend to the Community Development Director that you get placed under
Thank
the
you,
Mills
Nicole.
Act. All right, moving right along. Next item on the agenda is item number 3. Again, thank you, both of you, for your work. Is item 3. It's a miscellaneous action item for 402 Plaza Rubio. This is review of a staff report, and it is a public hearing to consider designation as a structure of merit of the Lewis House, a Spanish colonial revival house designed by noted architect Mary Craig in 1925, located at 402 Plaza Rubio. Ms. Hernandez.
Thank you, Chair Suding. I was going to be more detailed when I review this one and then kind of go through the second one rather quickly because a lot of the same information is for both houses on Plaza Rubio.
Okay.
They're owned by the same owner who has this passion for these houses. Like he's so lucky to own 2 of them, and I feel lucky because I got to go through them. And they're really, really beautifully beautiful, and it's kind of nice to be on the ground level of it happening. Okay, so as you mentioned, this is the Spanish colonial revival by Mary Craig, and it faces the Mission Santa Barbara. This one sits on the corner of Plaza Rubio and Laguna Streets, forming sort of a bookend to the whole row. There's 7 of them on this block, and the other one is pretty similar in shape, so they kind of bookend the whole row.
Not all of them were designed by.
No, 7 of them were, and this one right here in the middle was done in 1990.
Yes.
The one. Yeah, and you can see it has a different setback
Yep.
actually than the others.
Bill's house on the corner.
I think that's across the.
It's around the corner. It's
Yeah.
behind this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But go ahead. Sorry.
So that's, then we have, that it was owned first by the Robert Lewis family, who owned it for many years. And, this was such a period of civic expansion. These were the development of the last unoccupied land and the last pieces of the rural setting of Mission Santa Barbara. The houses on Plaza Rubio really do complement the Mission Santa Barbara and have become part of the setting of that, as well as the park. Of note is that they received extraordinary civic recognition when they were built. Photographs of the first 4 houses were published in the Morning Press in the Santa Barbara in 1926, and first prize winners of the newspaper's photographic competition. And as this is one of the treasured Mary Craig houses, it is significant to the heritage of the city. Also, the buildings are associated with Margaret Andrews. Andrews was a real estate developer and started buying real estate in Santa Barbara in 1922. She bought the lots for these developments, and she was a big proponent of the Spanish colonial revival style and hired Mary Craig to design the buildings. She was also a planning commissioner from 1931 to 1932. The house also embodies the exemplification of the Spanish colonial revival style with its stucco walls, terracotta roof tiles, French doors, divided light case windows, and balconies. Mr. Grumbine and I have been doing some research today, and we did find that the tile, door head, and maybe the oriel window and these 2 side windows might not be original. And we're going to do some more research, and we'll recommend that to the owner as well to see what the original facade looked like of this front one.
Did you find anything out about that patio wall?
Yes, actually,
Entry wall?
Commissioner Mahan talked to the author of the book that just came out, the Spanish-style book about the Craigs, which I have a copy of right here. And he said all the early plans and photos had the wall in it, and some of the early drawings that she did have it in it. So
Most
you
likely
think
it's
it's
original.
very early if it wasn't done right away. And Mary Louise Days had written about these years ago and had said that the wall cornice sort of does create this courtyard effect that makes this house just so special. That's so key to the Spanish style. So this the house is designed by Mary McLaughlin Craig. She was the wife of noted Santa Barbara architect Osborne Craig, who died in 1922, at which time she took his office in the second floor of the Arena Adobe and started practicing architecture on her own. And she did hire a very fine licensed architect, Ralph Armitage, to help her with her designs. After the earthquake, when Santa Barbara adopted the Spanish colonial revival style, she was really ready to go with it. And Margaret Andrews was her patron, and the two of them were able to really design amazing buildings throughout the city. These are her most noted, or most noted because they're the most visible to the public. There's many in Montecito. Criterion G, this house embodies outstanding attention to design, details, materials, and craftsmanship. I always love the way the tiles make such a beautiful line between the smooth stucco walls and the roof line, the deeply recessed windows, the paneled front door to the entry. And we also have the relationship of the Plaza Rubio houses to a landmark. They face Mission Historic Park and Mission Santa Barbara. They were conceived as an urban ensemble to the setting, and these important elements of Santa Barbara are essential to the integrity of the other city landmarks that they face. And these have been in place since 1925 and are an established and familiar feature of the neighborhood. The building does have integrity of location, design, setting, materials, workmanship, and feeling. It has had some alterations, but the owner's working to restore everything to its original condition. And staff and the HLC designation subcommittee recommend the HLC designate the building as a structure of merit. That's it.
That concludes your presentation?
Yes.
Okay, I will open public comment. I have one speaker slip from Mr. Kellum DeForest. Mr. DeForest.
Couple of things. Not having seen the report, a couple of things I want to add. Mrs. Andrews and I guess others wanted the view didn't want a mishmash of structures that would be viewed from the mission, so they hired Mary Craig, or they got together, that all the houses on the Plaza Rubio, that block of Plaza Rubio, be in the Spanish Revival style and tie in one to another. The one that isn't is new, and that was Mrs. Andrews' garden, rose garden, and that got very controversially was allowed some years ago. Also, I don't know whether any research was done on Mr. Lewis, Robert Lewis, but he was an important figure in the design in Santa Barbara. He had an antique and wrought iron shop on the corner of De La Guerra and Acampa Street, and imported and built wrought iron and other architectural or garden architectural elements, and can be found around Santa Barbara.
Okay, I will close public comment. Ask the commission if they have any questions. Commissioner Murray.
Yeah. I've been studying this report and going back to the earlier histories of trying to designate that area as a landmark district, and the fight, all the controversies that run. Also, Mary Louise Days also did a lot of background contextual study of there. And I'm thinking, shouldn't this building rise to the level of landmark? or I know they're individual buildings, but eventually the entire area just look, this, because they're so associated with so many people, the Andrews, the
Craigs.
Mayor Craigs, Lewis, the courthouse, the mission setting, the whole. Anyway, there's just so many things that make it rise up to a landmark, and I don't know how that will affect these two buildings who are on the run for the Mills Act,
Mr.
And
Hernandez?
of course, we have not approached the owners to say, a landmark status, but it just seemed, I don't know, I'm just a little conflicted about this, because to me they rise up, but not just these two. It's really the entire development.
I think we have,
Mr. Hernandez?
based on the research from the Lower Riviera study, this was recommended to be part of a district, and that would be the landmark, and these would be the essential structures of merit in that landmark. This owner wanted to come forward. He's ready to do his work and get his Mills Act, and then the others will come when our ordinance goes through, and we can move forward with that. And
let it.
we'll get the designation subcommittee back together and really put our plan together to get those owners. And this might be a good way to start getting some of the others on board when they see that this owner is really reaping the benefits of owning one of these houses.
Let's not break that momentum.
Yeah, I think that's what now I recall what was always the discussion at the subcommittee.
Okay.
Because of the ordinance not done.
Yes, that's the thing, and it does deserve its own landmark. The whole block should be really noted.
Any other questions, commissioners?
Yes.
Commissioner Lavoie.
Actually, not something in the report, but something you said, Nicole.
Yes.
An urban relationship to the landmark. I don't consider this urban.
Which criteria is that?
I called it an urban ensemble. I did borrow that language from the book.
From the book.
Yeah.
From that book?
The McLaughlin, the book on Mary Craig and McLaughlin. I thought it kind of made an interesting ensemble. The way they all play together, I thought it was a nice use of words, but you consider it more semi-rural, suburban?
It's more residential and semi-rural than I would consider
urban.
I'll note that. I'll change that in the final.
It's like the first development in 25. Yeah, certainly.
The other thing I noticed, and it's probably not that big of a deal, but you have recommend that the HCL.
Oh.
It's probably not going anywhere other than this, but just in case it does, you have a chance to fix it. We're not hydrochloric acid, are we? We're not that bad, are we?
Some days
All right. Any other questions or comments on that? Comments. Go ahead, Commissioner Lavoie.
make a motion.
You want this?
Yes, to adopt a resolution.
Your microphone may not be on.
I muted it. To adopt a resolution to designate a structure of merit of the house located at 402 Plaza Rubio, and to recommend that the designation subcommittee further consider this as a city landmark.
Second.
Motion by Lavoie, second by Arias. Did you get that, Ms. Sanchez? Because that's a little bit different language than what you had.
I got it.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain. Motion carries. Again, I want to thank the owner for pursuing this. Don't know if the owner's in the building, but in any case.
Are you keeping that copy?
Right. Next item on the agenda, and we are 15 minutes behind, is item number 4. This is a miscellaneous action item for 402 Plaza Rubio. This is a review of a proposed Mills Act program 10-year rehabilitation plan and recommendation of the Community Development Director to approve the Mills Act contract. Ms. Hernandez.
Yes. So the owner has quite a list of things to do over the next 10 years and is proposing to restore restoration of the original finishes throughout the house. He wants to replace the aluminum garage that replaced the original with more compatible doors with the style. This sun porch was glassed in, and his plan is to take all the glassed-in section out and return it to its original open loggia configuration. He's going to paint the exterior trim, doors, windows, and stucco. He's going to stabilize the chimney and repair and perform maintenance on the tile roof and gutter systems. Restore the hardwood floors and restore interior walls and trim. He's also going to do the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, maintenance, and repair. And those were the main points on his scope of work. That's it.
That concludes your.
Yeah.
Okay. I will open public comment. I do not have any speaker slips, so close public comment. Ask the commission if they have any questions or comments, or would somebody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
This is item what?
Item number 4.
Item number 4, to recommend the Community Development Director approve the proposed Mills Act contract for the house located on 402 Plaza Rubio.
Second.
Motion by Mahan, second by Arias. Is there any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? The motion carries. Next item on the agenda is item number 5. This is also a miscellaneous action item for a different Plaza Rubio address. That address would be 424 Plaza Rubio. This is review of the staff report and is a public hearing to consider designation as a structure of merit of the Spohr House, a Spanish colonial revival house designed by noted architect Mary Craig in 1925, located at 424 Plaza Rubio. Ms. Hernandez.
Yes, thank you, Chair Suding and Commissioners. I'll go through this one fairly quickly, but to begin with, Anthony and I, Commissioner Grumbine and I did look very closely at the original drawings, and this one looks fairly similar to the original way it was drawn by Mary Craig in 1925. The first owner of this house was E.H. Spohr, and the house is further down the block. It's the third from the far corner on Emerson, and it's one of the first 4 that she designed in 1925. And since we're behind, I'm just going to start, as because it's a Mary Craig house on Plaza Rubio, it's significant to the heritage of the city. Some images. It is like the 402 Plaza Rubio. This one is associated with Margaret Andrews, who developed the property and hired Mary Craig to design in the Spanish colonial revival style. This, it does embody the same elements of the style, the deeply recessed windows, the stucco walls, the terracotta roof. We did see that the tile around the front door was not in the original drawing. That's been embellished a little bit. And it's a design of Mary Craig, whose effort has significantly influenced the heritage of the city. It does have outstanding elements of design, detail, materials, and craftsmanship with the excellent wood windows and doors and tile roof. And again, its relationship to Mission Historic Park and Mission Santa Barbara make it essential for the integrity of the setting of the landmarks that surround it. In addition, its unique location has established familiar feature of the neighborhood. So it does still retain high integrity of location, design, setting, materials, workmanship, feeling, and association. So the staff and the HLC designation subcommittee recommend to designate the building as a structure of merit.
That concludes the presentation. Okay, I'll open public comment. I do not have any speaker slips, so I'll close public comment and ask the commission if they have any questions or comments.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Drury, please.
Yes, I'd like to ask Mr. Hernandez. So, would you consider the embellishment of the front door a detriment?
A what?
A detriment?
I do not. I think it's lovely, actually.
On that note, excuse me, Commissioner Mahan, but on that note, why do you think was not original?
Well, we saw the original drawings.
And it wasn't on there? Okay, gotcha.
And some photographs.
Okay. Commissioner Mahan?
Yeah, what on the page 3 photograph, what is the sign out in front of the house?
Oh,
Contractor.
Contractor. They were working on the house while I was in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Any other questions or comments? Questions, comments? Anybody?
I do.
Yes.
Commissioner Mahan? I'm sorry, Commissioner Lavoie.
Yes?
Commissioner Bill?
And I don't know if you know this answer. This is a really sweet house, and it really couldn't be plainer. Do you know the ceiling height in the first floor and second floor? When you're looking at the drawings, I guess pull the book out of the stack and take a look. But
Right, and they're floor plans. They don't show the elevation. So
there are sections.
I would say they're 9 feet. They're not small. I mean, it doesn't feel like a mid-century
9
house.
feet, but the second floor is like clipped, unless even if those are 7-foot doors, which they might be.
It does.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Mahon?
I've gone and measured these doors, and they're like 6'2" or 6'4". They're very,
really?
very, very short doors. I always wondered why they had such a wonderful human scale. Because its doors are really small. And if you look at this other one that we just approved, the inside, where the ceiling is only 6 inches above the door head, that may be a 7-foot ceiling. It might be 8 feet floor to floor. And that's how they get this low wall there. Or maybe Mary Craig was very short, like Frank Lloyd Wright.
Yeah, or both.
Yes.
The scale.
She wasn't short on anything either.
Yeah, the simplicity. It's just so.
It's a haiku, for sure. All right. Any other? Yes,
Can I make a
Commissioner
motion?
Granby? Would you like to make a motion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless there's anything else. All right. So number 5. To Mr. Chair, to adopt resolution 2016-8 to designate as a structure of merit the house located at 424 Plaza Rubio.
Second.
We have a motion by Grumbine, second by Vena. Under discussion, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained. The motion carries. May I have my slip back, please?
I drew
No.
Well, don't you want to leave it for the next motion?
Okay, well, all right. Next item on the agenda then is item number 6. This is a miscellaneous action item for the same address, 424 Plaza Rubio. Excuse me. This is a review of proposed Mills Act program, 10-year rehabilitation plan, and recommendations to the Community Development Director to approve the Mills Act contract. Ms. Hernandez.
Thank you, Chair Seating and Commissioners. So the scope is somewhat similar to the other, completing interior restoration of finishes, replacing essential systems. This is a view of the back side of the house. They're going to do restoring exterior landscape and hardscape, structural and exterior repairs to the garage, and they're going to repair and replace anything that needs repair on the pergola. There's a lot of deteriorated wood on those beams. They're going to repaint the exterior trim of the wooden doors and stucco. They're going to perform maintenance on the tile roof and the gutter systems, structural stabilization of the chimney, and just to finish the hardwood floors. They're restoring the trim and walls, and mechanical, electrical, plumbing maintenance repair as well. That's their scope.
Okay. I will open public comment. Do not have any speaker slips.
Excuse me.
You want to speak? Okay. Mr. DeForest.
This house has been before this commission before, and one of the problems was the tree in front. I just wondered what the status of that tree was, whether it was cut down or retained.
Mr. DeForest, with all due respect, I think that was a different tree in a different house.
I thought it was this one.
No.
I think it was the next one down.
Oh,
It was, it's the next one towards towards, what is that?
Emerson.
Emerson, thank you.
Emerson.
Okay, I'll close public comment, ask the Commission for questions or comments.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner
I'd like
Reyes?
to make a motion to
But wait a
recommend.
minute, I have a question first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just looking at this amount
Cost.
of money, $875,000. That seems like a lot compared to what we usually approve. This is supposed to come out of their taxes, right?
No.
Not necessarily.
No, this is the cost of their proposed project.
Yeah.
And then they don't get, that's not the credit they get for the taxes? They get like what is it, 2% or 3%?
They get a reduction based on the tax assessor takes how much it's worth, how much it would be worth as a rental, and how much they're going to invest, and he decides how much to reduce their property taxes by. And it's been pretty much about 50% across the board, and I have a graph I've been tracking how much each house is reduced, so I can email that to you all if you're interested. But most of them, it still is about 50%. Some of them, when the larger their scope work, the more they reduce their taxes, but still.
I guess my question is, if the reconstruction costs more than the Mills Act will allow,
which is 1.2 million, I believe.
Well, that's the 1.5 million is how much the whole property is worth. The
okay.
whole property.
Got it, sorry.
They can put as much as they want in, and they're still just going to get like $5,000 reduced every year from their taxes. Usually,
they just get so much.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can only. They're still going to
There's a max.
taxes.
There's a ceiling.
Right. Oh yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So the house is worth.
I was just wondering.
I think
Thank
this
you.
one's about
Okay. Commissioner Rios.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 2016-8 to designate as structure merit and to recommend to the Community Development Director approve the proposed Mills Act contract for the house located at 424 Plaza Rubio.
Second.
We had a motion by Rios, a second by Mahan. Under discussion, is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? The motion carries.
Okay. No, I just he wanted.
That motion wasn't really read correctly.
Well, she read the designation from the.
I threw in the designation at the beginning, but I also read the
You
motion.
did, yeah.
We got.
I made everything.
Okay, everything's correct. Okay, just as long as you're good. Okay.
Thanks, Mom.
No, that's Principal Sanchez over there. All right. Next item on the agenda is item number 7. This is a miscellaneous action item for 219 West Arriaga Street. This is review of staff report and a public hearing to consider designation as a structure of merit of the Fredericks House, a folk Victorian style house constructed in 1903, located at 219 West Arriaga Street. Ms. Hernandez.
Thank you, Chair Suding. This is our final house to be designated today. This house was constructed in 1903 in the folk Victorian style. The earliest owner was Henry L. Fredericks, who was noted as a jeweler on the. If this was all on the survey from the 1978 survey, as it was added to the potential historic resources list in 1978. I did look at the Sanborn map, and it did originally have a front porch over this section of the building, but it has not had that front porch since 1978 when it was added to the list. Anyway, so it is located just on West Arriaga, in between, just off of De La Vina, right in the center of the block. And this folk Victorian style was is pretty interesting history in Santa Barbara, as it was just such a scaled down Victorian style compared to the Queen Anne style. And it had the bold massing forms and porch work, but sort of was a transition that hints at the simpler styles to come, like the craftsman style and the American colonial styles. But still, like other Victorian styles, it was made possible by the transportation of woodworking machines across the country. It came into popularity in the final stages of the Victorian era, and it can be found throughout West Downtown into the early 20th century. And so it is important to the heritage of Santa Barbara. The building has character-defining features of the style with its massing and form with its 2-story front-facing gable and standard pitched roof. The folk Victorian house has boxed eaves on the front elevation to form a simple cornice line and does not have any detailed ornament on the cornice as seen in a Queen Anne. The folk Victorian demonstrates simple detailing with elongated double-hung 1/1 wood windows, and the wood door surrounds are simple as well, and the front door is a simple pane over panel door. And very thin weather boards are noted. This does have this bay window, and this noted on all of the triple sets of windows, the center one has a higher sash than the two sides, even on the second floor and in this one as well, which I think is an interesting detail and demonstrates some interesting design. And the building does demonstrate excellent design and materials and craftsmanship. Okay, integrity. It does still have a high degree of integrity. We would recommend trying to put the front porch back on to the new owner, but it does still have all the rest of the original features on the exterior, including location, design, setting, materials, workmanship, feeling, and association. So the HLC Designation Subcommittee and staff recommend that the building be designated a structure of merit.
Okay. Excuse me, pardon me. I will open public comment. Do not have any speaker slips, so I'll close the public comment. Ask the commission if they have any questions or comments. Commissioner Jury?
The owner's,
Oh, what?
the owner's here also,
Okay.
if you have any questions for the owner.
Is your microphone clipped?
I guess my question is to the architect on the commission. That window on the side, is that would that be for a window seat? Because it's angled out. It's proud of the wall.
It's a bow window.
The little one.
It sticks out
the
as
other
an
one.
angle,
There you go.
like this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
might be
Maybe.
a window seat
Maybe
there.
not.
Yeah.
Just to catch more light, to be more interesting.
yeah. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Commissioner Mahan?
The enclosure above the bay, the next window over the three there that we can see there.
Above the Bougainvillea?
Yeah, it looks strange. It looks strange to me. I wish I could point. I can't.
Can you move the mouse
Here, you
around?
can put that up there.
No, because they have to switch.
Oh.
See that? There you go. It's that.
You see how that the white header is a different width than the other two headers, which strikes me as being wrong and not that's not the way they do it. It looks like
It's also a different height.
yeah, it's
The head height.
and it's the way that this is closed in above.
I think you're onto something because if you look at the Sanborn, it doesn't
show.
exist on the
It doesn't
Sanborn.
exist.
That whole thing I think has been added from.
That's been added.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the Sanborn,
That's why it's different. That's why it's funny.
yeah.
Yep.
It's the Sanborn map. It doesn't.
That used to be a closet or something that was, or maybe a separate bay window. Maybe that window was
was
set
a
into
porch.
it. But there's something. If you look at it, there's a porch. There's a whole piece popped out.
It wasn't. It isn't done. It isn't.
It
It
looks
isn't
like
done.
there was a piece from here to here. That the whole thing was popped out. There was a porch that went in, and then there was something else here on the Sanborn. It shows something so that window was either forward with that other wall plane, but it looks like it's almost like a closet or something on the Sanborn. I'm not sure.
My only thought was that this had the same treatment above it, and I don't know if somebody went back and put thicker boards over it.
It just is a little larger.
Because it's like that on the bay as well.
See that?
Are they going to fix that? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's not.
No.
He might consider it.
It just seems very awkward and poorly detailed. If it was a new house coming in, we'd say it needs more study.
Mr. Chair?
Well, I can have the owner. The owner's here, and he can study looking into that.
Commissioner Jury?
Well, it looks on the Sanborn map that was probably a covered entrance, at least slightly, because it's proud of a. And then that lovely window on to the right, and then a porch that probably was a walk-in porch from that. Because there's some detail, I can't tell what it is.
I don't know.
Can we all recommend?
Let me actually say something though, and it may be popular or maybe unpopular, but the way that window on our right hand side is played down, or it's the right hand side of the door is played down, and the other two windows are sort of played up. To me, really lends that charm and the importance to those other two windows, and I don't object to having that one tripartite window on the right-hand side of the door, smaller scale like that. I don't think that's objectionable. I may be the only one, but it just gives more importance and specialness to those other two windows.
And
in
I
my
think
opinion.
when you think it would have been underneath a porch, it might have been smaller to accommodate
Might have
for
been
the
smaller,
roof.
right? It doesn't bother me that much. I like that it is different. I think that makes it unique. But that's my one opinion. I know. Okay, you have
Mr. Chair, I have a question though.
Yes, Commissioner Mahan. Lavoy.
If we disagree, any comments made by landscape architect on architecture? I'm concerned about the recommendation to restore a porch to the Secretary of the Interior standards. We're restoring something that's conjectural and not original. While it may, it's sort of like adding history to the house that we don't, unless we have drawings or we don't have a photograph to know that we are doing a restoration. We don't know either about this window or about that porch what it looked like. I can think of other examples that are similar in town, but this is a sort of unique, boxy Victorian. So I wouldn't know what that should look like, actually. So I'd leave it alone as a, it's there. The windows look old.
And you'll see from the inside, they do.
The windows look authentic.
Look original.
Yeah.
So I'd leave it alone, because if it is an odd thing that exists from the original and we don't know any different, we should leave it alone.
Commissioner Rios, please.
Different topic.
Pardon me?
A different topic. When they go through these homes to improve and restore, et cetera, is there any discussion about earthquaking, protection of the foundation,
Usually
attaching and
that's a
things
big
like that?
part of their scope of work.
I'm sorry, I can't hear and talk at the same time.
Yes, usually that's a big part of the scope of work is seismic
So it is being
bulkhead
done.
foundation.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I really like.
Repairs.
Commissioner Rios has the floor.
I give up.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Mr. Chair, just
Commissioner Drury?
one question in keeping with Commissioner Mahan's comment about the architecture above the windows where the porch was. Should they, on that side, should they mimic?
No.
No?
No. We leave it alone.
Okay.
Yep.
Good.
But on that, and Commissioner Arias' point on the seismic, there's year number 3 is when they're doing the foundation repairs.
Yeah, but foundation repairs does not necessarily mean the attachment of the foundation to the actual structure of the building. Foundation repairs can mean repairing the cracks or where they've slipped or things like that. I'm being very specific about earthquake prevention, protection. There's a different,
I know that the 208 Quinto House specifically is doing seismic repairs. It's 2 stories. But when they come through with their scope of work, they have to go through the building department and meet the codes. So,
But does our code require them to upgrade them?
Yes.
That's good. Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, would somebody like to make a motion on item 7?
Here.
I'll make a motion. Thank you for crossing these other ones. The motion is to adopt Resolution 2016-9 to designate as a structure of merit the house located at 219 West Arriaga Street.
I have a motion, and do I have a second?
Second.
A motion by Drury, a second by Lavoy. Under discussion, is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Again, I want to thank the owner for taking on this work. It's very much appreciated. This is a wonderful little house. Next item on the agenda then is item number 8. It's also for 219 West Arriaga Street. It's a miscellaneous action item, review of the proposed Mills Act program, 10-year rehabilitation plan, and recommendation to the Community Development Director to approve the Mills Act contract. Ms. Hernandez.
thank you, Chair Suding. So part of the scope of work that is proposed is to do some exterior landscaping and patio repairs, minor upgrades to the bathrooms and remodeling, installing screens onto the windows, replacing the knob and tube wiring, and repairing and repainting the window casings and the double hung mechanisms. They also want to rehabilitate the period built-in elements, foundation repairs, remodeling the kitchen and rear steps and entry. They also are going to restore the hardwood floors and baseboards, remodel the laundry room, repair the gutters and downspouts, and repair and repaint the plaster and interior. They are also going to replace deteriorated plumbing, repair and replace the roof, and repaint the exterior. And that concludes their scope of work for the next 10 years.
I will open public comment, and I do not have any speaker slips, so I'll close public comment. Ask the commission if they have any questions or comments, or if somebody would like to make a motion.
Mr. Chair?
Commissioner Lavoie. I heard Commissioner Lavoie first.
To recommend that the Community Development Director approve proposed Mills Act contract for the house located at 219 West Yard Street, and with the recommendation that it also include a seismic retrofit.
Second.
We can make it as a recommendation.
We can recommend
Yeah,
it.
yeah. That's fine. All right. Who seconded it?
I did.
Drury? Under discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Abstain? Motion carries unanimously. Okay. Next item on the agenda is item number 9. This is also a miscellaneous action item for a different address. This is for 1332 Laguna Street. This is review of staff report. This is archaeology. No, I'm sorry. This is a review of staff report to consider adding the Queen Anne Free Classic Style House located at 1332 Laguna Street to the city's potential historic resources list, as it was found eligible as a structure of merit by the HLC Designation Subcommittee. Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you, Chair Suding. This is a Queen Anne Free Classic House that it's going under restoration, and they're going to be proposing an addition that so we wanted to have it on the potentials list so it could come under HLC review, and it's going to go to, they're submitting their drawings soon. The building was constructed around, I believe, 1905 from my research, and it does really retain all its original character-defining features and elements of the Queen Anne Free Classic, notably the the Tuscan columns on the front porch, the very flat and trimmed down brackets, and shingles in the open gables. And it's another transitional period style that was very popular in Santa Barbara, as it was going away from the more ornate high Victorians to a simpler style. What happened? Oh, well, that's it. Anyway, I didn't have any more photos of it. Okay. Anyway, so it also qualifies as it embodies outstanding elements of architectural design, details, and materials. It also, in the bay window, there were really nice leaded glass windows in the upper sash. And the owner's really excited about. She just purchased the building and is ready to restore it.
So great.
Yeah.
Okay. I will open public comment. I do not have any speaker slips, so I'll close the public comment. Ask the commission if they have any questions or comments.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner.
Question to staff. When I went to look at this house, I noticed they were repainting it all. Mm-hmm. Have you seen the final color?
I did. I reviewed the paint colors. Yeah.
They're going to be okay?
Yeah, I think they're going to be really nice.
This house is really has beautiful details, and they're just in perfect condition. It's just amazing that something could last that long and not be eaten up by the termites.
Well, they don't build them that way anymore, do they?
They sure don't.
It's that hard wood.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Would somebody like to make a motion?
I'll make motion B.
To add this building to the potential historic resources list.
Wait.
Oh, wait. I'll make a motion.
I forgot to cross it.
Motion to add to the structure located at 1332 Laguna Street to the city's potential historic resources list, as it is eligible for structure of merit designation.
Second.
Motion by Drury, second by Mahan. Under discussion, is there any? All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain? Motion carries unanimously. I want to thank Ms. Sanchez for her wonderful job of putting out these motions for us. That makes her job easier, makes our job easier. All right, moving right along. Next item on the agenda is item number 10. It's an archaeology report for 6100 Hollister Avenue. This is a review of a Phase 1 archaeological resources report prepared by Karen Pitts Olmedo, Eric S. Nocerino, and Ann M. Munns, Applied Earthworks. Ms. Hernandez.
Thank you.
Oh, let's hear from Ms. Sanchez instead.
Dr. Glassow has reviewed the archaeological report pertaining to the above-mentioned property. He concludes that the archaeological investigation supports the report's conclusions and recommendations. The identified monitoring requirements should be applied per NARA provisions.
All right. I will open public comment. Do not have any speaker slips, so I'll close the public comment and ask the commission if they have any questions or comments. Commissioner Rios, please.
Go ahead. I have a question as to what the definition is of something. Go ahead. You go ahead. I'll look it up.
Commissioner Murray.
Yeah, on page 15, there are two colors, and the yellow is a buffer, and then protecting the CA SB 59. I guess my concern is that we can't.
I'm not allowed to.
We're not allowed.
I'm not allowed to put the. It's archaeological reports cannot be broadcast.
So my question is, that buffer zone, is that some kind of a requirement for the project to be adhering to that buffer zone? Because not this, this CA SB 59 as well as CA SB 60, these are National Register resources as well as California Register resources. And so if you look at that, there's that outline of the project, which is the blue. That buffer comes through. The sensitive zone is right there, and then there's of course the direct relief project is also going to. So I mean, they say it's not going to be impacted, but I just with this kind of lines, I do not know how they're going to determine protection of those areas.
Is there a representative here for this? Unfortunately, I don't have any archaeology expertise.
Come forward, please.
Yeah.
Have a seat at this chair. Please state your name for the record and see if you can answer Commissioner Murray's question for us, please.
My name is Eric Nocerino. I'm with Applied Earthworks. I conducted the extended Phase 1 field work out there and helped co-author the report. Yeah. The buffer zone was recommended by SAIC when they did testing in that parcel. I think it was back in 1998, and that was in order to account for there was some archaeological material found outside, just outside of the site boundary, and so they recommended that 100-foot buffer for any future work, that more work might need to be done within that buffer in order to determine if the site extends that far.
So that's the meaning and the intent of that buffer,
yes.
Not necessarily that it was that sensitive.
Exactly.
So do your mitigation measures, because I did not find that the recommendations really clearly say that. Because if you're a builder here and you've got to know where 59 and 60, the two most, you got to be able to know where those things are to be protecting them. And
pretty sure you'll know.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
is there some way that
I think if there's more work done on the parcel north of what the airport is proposing, that will help further define if the site extends out that way for the airport's project based on the trenches SAIC dug and the 3 trenches that we excavated. There doesn't appear to be the possibility of finding cultural material out that way, at least within the proposed ground disturbance zones. So I think, we had recommended monitoring. I would have to, can't recall right now. Our final recommendation did include monitoring. It did, okay. Given the site proximity.
Page 28, I believe.
I think that would help to alleviate any concerns of the possibility of finding anything out that way.
Are you another question on?
You finished with that question? Okay, Commissioner Grumbine?
So I noticed that there's a corner, the top of that sort of the L-shaped project area, the blue project area. There's a corner there that also has that sort of impinges in the buffer, and it looks like you tested along the one side, but you didn't. Is it because that corner isn't going to be disturbed? The end of the L shape.
Right. So right at that very corner there.
Yeah, because that's the other overlap, and that actually reaches. If that is really going to get disturbed at that point, it would make sense. That would be also a test area, or are you just not worried because you're going to?
So I think that had to do with. I'll have to see if the project design. I'm not sure if the in-ground disturbance was proposed in that area. I'm pretty sure it wasn't. I think that's why we had excluded that. I'm fairly certain that's why we've excluded that area. And also in relation to the other trenches that were nearby there as well, too, not having any archaeological material. I know the main area of concern was right at that's where we had tested. And also given the work on the parcel just north of there that Dudek had conducted.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Somebody like to make a motion?
I'll give it a whirl.
Okay, go ahead. There's no cheat sheet. Are you rescinding that?
I don't even have anything laminated to work with.
Oh, well. No, you can do it.
Okay. So the motion to approve the archaeology resources report as submitted?
You're correct. Okay. Motion by Grumbine, second by Arias.
Yes.
Under discussion? No discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Great. Thank you. And sorry if I mispronounced your name at the beginning.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay. I am going to suggest that we take a 5-minute break before we start the next item, which is item number 11. Is that okay with everybody? Yeah. Okay. The next item on the agenda is item 11. It's final review for 2559 Puesta del Sol. Final approval is requested for the entire project, of which components received project design approval at previous separate hearings. Project must comply with City Resolution number 15-029 adopted on March 24, 2015. Phase 1 without the right-of-way improvements was last reviewed on June 1st, 2016. And I've got them here, so I don't trust you. No, I'm just kidding.
That's what this is. It's the same thing. Yeah.
Okay. I will read those minutes from the June 1st meeting. This was project design approval as submitted with the following comments. The Commission finds that overall the development of the butterfly exhibit is appropriate to the adjacent historic resource and is much improved. Include in plan view the construction documents, the stone wall turning the corner. Study a large and more prominent keystone, The keyed-in base cornerstone is appropriate for the structure. Enhance the thickness of the arch at the opening. The motion was made by Schallenberger, seconded by Mahan. It was an 8-0 vote. Murray was absent. The motion carried. And the 10-day appeal period was announced. All right, please introduce yourselves for the record and give us a brief presentation.
I am Suzanne Elledge, representing the Museum of Natural History. There's one other final approval that we're asking for today, and that's for the lighting.
Oh.
And that was given project design approval on 5/18. And those are the minutes from that meeting that I just handed you.
Project design approval and final approval with revised butterfly pavilion light fixtures to return to the consent calendar with the following comments. The lighting is sensitive and responsive to the site and responds appropriately to the comments of the HLC. Fixture XD at the butterfly exhibit should be more abstract. It is too quaint and needs to fit the historic resource and HLC guidelines. The butterfly motif may be acceptable. The Commission finds that the proposal has no negative impact on the adjacent historic resource and is appropriate to the neighborhood and the El Pueblo Viejo 2 guidelines. The motion was made by Lavoie. It was seconded by Mahan. It was an 8-0 vote. Murray was absent, and the motion carried. And the 10-day appeal period was announced.
Thank you very much. So we are back before you today asking for final approval of everything in Phase 1 with the exception of the Puesta del Sol improvements, which will come to you separately. I did notice that there was several public comment letters related to Puesta del Sol, but again, that's not before you today, and we expect to submit the plans in a couple of weeks. We're meeting with Public Works tomorrow, and that component will be before you in about 30 days. So asking for final approval today on everything else, including the lighting. And signage, you might recall, was also handled separately, and that received final approval at the end of August. So I think that's it. I'll turn it over to the design team.
Thanks, Suzanne. Thanks, Commission. My name is Dylan Johnson. I'm with Shak Teslani Architects. I'll be brief here in response to the comments from the June 1st and May 18th meetings. They largely involve the butterfly pavilion and the vestibules of those. First, the comment to have the stonework turning the corner. You can see this also relates to the idea of enhancing the thickness of the openings at the vestibules. You can see we've actually expanded these very similar to the sketch that we actually did during that meeting. You can also see on the elevation of the butterfly pavilions that fixture XD, which were the sconces from the May 18th lighting meeting. We determined that it was actually more appropriate to simply remove those fixtures from the project to let these vestibules feel more fitting for this sort of landscape garden environment and less like a building. So as we can turn the page and sort of get into the details here, you can see the keystone has also been enlarged and enhanced. In the details, you'll see it's not only taller than the adjacent stones, it's also proud. And Commissioner Schallenberger had commented about as the stone turns the outside corners of the vestibules, to make a note that it should be tooled and worked. And you can see in the sandstone general notes 6 there that at the building corners to ease the edges of the stone. That's a direct response to that comment. Again, in more detail here, this is a section through the keystone. You can see it is 1.5 inches proud of the adjacent sandstone. That's the only comment on this sheet. And then some more detailed information about the stone.
Could you tell us what sheet you're on?
I'm sorry.
2.61.
That was 260 was the last sheet, and now we're on 261. This simply shows more detail of how the stonework is turning the corner into the vestibules. You can see it's now a thickness of 20 inches. And that concludes the comments that relate to the vestibule stonework. Lastly, there's one update we wanted to show you with regard to the butterfly gates. These had always been planned to have the stainless steel mesh on the back of them to contain the butterflies. It's a USDA requirement. We've swapped that for a perforated metal plate that's painted to match the color and finish of the gates. And that is really a function of durability. These gates are going to get a lot of abuse, and the stainless steel mesh wasn't appropriate for that use. It also allows ADA compliance and a simpler means and a cleaner means of detailing the attachments of the hardware. And with that, we can move into the backyard, and I'll let Ms. Van Atta make a few comments with regard to the landscape there.
So we're here for final, and so we just have a couple of quick comments. We were able, with the structural engineer, to have these, previously there were 4 concrete pairs, now there are only 2, which is nice. We had to move this little edge of the play water feature out of the 100-year flood plain. And
excuse me, could we have, you're on
L1.31.
And then we did have extensive ADA review of all the plans, and for this area that resulted in the more modern approach to creating water play opportunities for people in wheelchairs is for them to come to the side of the water feature as opposed to roll under a table. So now this gives us an opportunity to have more of a natural look to the water feature as well.
So that's a raised.
So this is raised, and actually they drop down. There's a little waterfall in between, but I guess now it's been determined that it's easier to play with water when you come up to the side.
Gotcha.
We don't seem to have that sheet.
So that's
Oh, wait,
L1.
is it in the front? Is it in the beginning?
L1.
Okay. 2, 1, 3, 1. Okay, got it.
Does that conclude your?
That concludes all the changes.
Anything else? Okay. I will open public comment. I have one speaker slip. If either Paulina Kahn, Fran Galt, Warren Wintick, Frank Frost, Michael Pejos, Scott Grafton, Edward Berman, Barbara Lyon, Roseanne Crawford, Tina Messinio, Pamela Bohr, Stephen Sherrill, Tim Owens, Maureen and or Les Shapiro are in the audience and wish to speak. I do have letters from you, but if you wish to speak, I do need a blue speaker slip. So,
Mr. Chief, for the benefit of the people that are not here and all that the letters that we got, I would suggest that I took down the notes of what they generally were concerned about, and they are not being covered today. But for the viewing audience, I think it would be helpful if we said, for instance, the sandstone drainage is not under review today. The trees are not under review today. The crosswalk is not under review today, and the oaks being planted, that's not under review today. The street lights we're not reviewing. And the planting of California native plants, we have a landscape plan, but that's not totally under review. And using of natural rocks. So I think we got 11.
no, I wasn't planning on reading them all.
No, I know you weren't planning on it, but people out in the audience may
Okay, I think you just did that.
The TV world
Yeah.
would need to know that this is not being covered today.
Okay, and I think you just did that, so thank you for doing that.
that's fine.
Okay, so then I do have one speaker slip from Mr. DeForest. Callum?
Good afternoon. I think this is coming along. I do think I have, but if you've all approved it, I think the sandstone entrance to the entrance exit to the butterfly exhibit is a little heavy for the rest of the architecture in the museum, but if it is now acceptable, it is acceptable. And I think the people might want to know: are the right-of-way improvements going to be reviewed at another time? That would be interesting to know. And also, what was were the oak trees that, not having seen or heard the complaints, were of the letter writers, were any oak trees in the development? Are they questioning the amount or size of the oak trees that are to be replaced? Thank you.
Right, thank you, Mr. DeForest. I will close public comment, recognizing that we did get letters from those people I spoke to earlier and Commissioner Rivas spoke about. So I will ask the commission then if they have any questions for the applicant.
I have Mr. Chair. So I have a question regarding, looking at A2.31. Some of these are sections through with interior elevations, is that right?
A231?
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
Okay, and I just want to understand the details, because looking at A2.60, detail number 6, and yeah, I guess that one works. I think I saw it somewhere else as well.
What is the number again? 80 what?
Oh, A2.60.
Yeah, sheet A2.60 and detail number 6 in the top right corner. And I think I saw it elsewhere too. Yeah, I saw it also on A2.61 detail number 4. Actually, that one's even better.
Okay, we're going to A261, detail number 4.
Yeah. So
lower left.
I just want to understand it. The interior elevations looked like it was all stone within that vestibule as well. Clad? Is that?
I'm sorry, I think I misanswered your first question. Those were exterior elevations there. The interior of the vestibules are stucco.
Okay.
The exterior is sandstone, the interior is stucco.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay.
And in 261, detail 4 there, you can see the stone. That's how we're achieving this enhanced thickness of the opening, is by pulling the stone in. So the enhanced thickness portion is stone.
Gotcha. And then So then just to make sure I'm understanding it, the interior elevations are on A2.40. Those are sections through the smaller ones. Details 11, 9, 7, 5.
Hold on a second.
A2.
Yeah. Give us 1 second.
A2.
A2.40.
Yeah, so in the bottom of A2.40, that's correct. This is a section through the entire exhibit, and what you're looking at here, this dotted pattern represents stucco.
Okay, and it shows in the top left as well.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Great, thanks.
Tailing off that question, does the commission ever remember seeing any sort of interior elevations of the vestibule and whether or not we were under the impression it was going to be clad in stone or stucco?
It was discussed in stucco.
Was it? Okay, thank you. Commissioner Vena, do you have any questions?
No.
Commissioner
No
Rios, any questions? Commissioner Lavoie?
I do. You discussed a metal mesh in the butterfly iron doors. What does that look like?
The metal mesh that was on the iron doors, meaning the stainless steel mesh, was similar to the sample we looked at several months ago.
So what are you proposing now?
Now we're proposing a perforated metal plate, 16 gauge with a 3/16 round opening, round holes of 3/16 of an
Spaced
inch
how far apart?
diameter, quarter inch, I believe. So very open. The USDA requirements are a quarter inch hole maximum to keep the butterflies in.
Really? So, in back of this really lovely wrought iron piece that you're putting in, you're going to have perforated board.
Almost like pegboard.
Almost like pegboard.
Yeah, I think the drivers there are both this USDA requirement, and we also ADA requires.
Could I recommend something for you?
Sure, please.
Let's get the comments.
Well, I'm in a question we're talking about.
All right, sure.
That you use welded wire mesh, use it on a diagonal, paint it black, even if it is stainless steel. And that would be much better, much more attractive screen behind your really lovely gate.
Yeah.
Can you achieve your USDA?
Yeah, you can get that at any. You can get it even tighter.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
I'm sure we could work with that.
Just large scale screen.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
No, that's all.
Commissioner Murray?
No, I don't.
Is that full flat stone on the inside? Real
Yes,
stone.
I'm looking at sheet A 2.60, and I'm looking at 2, which says section at top of vestibule wall.
The architect is a different system.
Yeah, there.
Yep.
Is on the outside of the, is that what we would see, that little,
The edge of the.
that'd be that's a giveaway that this is all veneer, and I noticed that in some of your other sections where you're going around the jam, you cut the stone so that you wouldn't have that joint.
That's right. Yep.
I don't, okay, that's the question.
Yeah, it's an excellent question. Let's look at the elevations, because that line is not represented here.
Right.
I think that's a mistake in the detail. I think the elevations are the governing.
Okay. The other question that I have, since you've not opened, this is this one big piece of stone that's cut to fit into that corner, or are these going to be several stones?
The idea is this is one big stone.
One big stone.
Yeah. We're working on the technical details of achieving that.
Of moving it.
With our contractor to get it in there. Yeah.
Great.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Drury, any questions?
I do not.
Anybody else have any questions they thought of? Okay, we'll go into comments. Commissioner Grumbine, any comments?
Yeah. So jumping back to what was my question, I guess my comment would be: I understand that getting the thickness of the vestibule is important, but at the same time, it seems like a pretty large, pronounced archway on the inside now that doesn't have the veneer. So that might want to come down, even though it's going to make it feel not quite as thick. That might want to come down, or have at least a stepped piece or something that will not make it feel like it's such a chunky add-on to the
interior,
to the stucco. Yeah, to the stucco interior.
Okay.
So aside from that, and comments which I know will be raised or have already been raised about the door and the ironwork and the screen, I think it looks really good, and I have nothing else to add.
Commissioner Vane, any comments?
I have no comments except good job.
Commissioner Rios?
I agree with Mr. Lavoie's suggestion with the mesh, and I have sort of a PR suggestion for you. We've received a lot of letters, which I'm sure you're aware of, and I would hope that there would be outreach to the community to address some of the concerns that are expressed in the letters. before it comes back to us. Just acting like a mother.
Commissioner LaVoy.
It's been a long, drawn-out process. I think you've done a good job in answering all of our concerns, and I would support the project for final approval at this point.
Commissioner Murray. Commissioner Mahan, anything?
Yeah, I didn't hear what the solution was for the screen behind it.
Welded wire mesh, it's called. Basically, large-scale screen, and put on a diagonal.
And that the butterflies can't get through.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I would suggest on page A2.61, where I'm looking at the detail 5 plan of vestibule gate to hinge. I guess this is a section through the jamb.
That's right.
I think that the stone wraps around on the inside, I think, is a good idea. It should wrap around on the inside. I think because of the height of the wall, the 12 inches probably isn't enough. That's going to feel very, very thin and wobbly, and it ought to be maybe 16 or 18 inches and coming up. And I don't think we have an interior elevation of that, do we? Does it come over the arch? Does it? Yes. It comes up and it comes across the arch, or how does it? Yeah, I think
elevation. If you want to see.
Yeah, let's see that elevation because I need to know what you're talking about.
I didn't see that, but.
The voussoirs are expressed on the interior.
That's right.
Do you have it? Do you have the page?
We're getting there.
240, I believe.
240.
Yeah.
A240.
240, yeah.
240.
Yeah, so it's.
This is the inside. Oh, I see it wraps around there like that. Yeah, I think that 12, maybe 16 inches would feel more comfortable there than 12. So it doesn't feel skimpy.
Mm-hmm. It's worth noting that some walls are smaller.
Yeah. Maybe where it's smaller, the 12 inches works, and where this wall is bigger, it ought to be the 16 inches. Yeah. And you'll take care of that cap there. You'll change that detail on the cap so we won't have that thin strip there. Yep. Thank you. Very nice job.
Thank you.
Oh, and just to confirm, this is all real stone veneer, right? Okay. True stone.
Thank you.
Commissioner Drury.
Yes, I appreciate the work you've done, and appreciate the reduction in lighting and the reduction in those treehouse supports. Good job all around. Thank you.
Okay.
I will summarize then. Use welded wire mesh on the diagonal, painted black on the back side of the butterfly exhibit vestibule gates instead of the perforated plate as proposed. Study reducing the dimension of the entry portal stone returns on the interior of the vestibule as it relates to the stucco.
No, expand.
No.
Expand.
Those are two. I was saying it kind of sticks out. It's kind of an outie.
Yeah, so
so
study reducing the dimension
go this way with it.
or thickness.
Yeah. And actually, probably going this way would be make it that other one.
Okay, and then to Mr. Mahan's comment on the details shown on A2.40, study the stone surround dimensions on the portals on the interior of the vestibule, perhaps making them larger.
Yeah, that's good enough.
Summarize it. Does that capture your comment, Commissioner LaVoy?
Yes.
And that captures your comment? Okay.
And correct the cap.
Detail.
Correct the cap detail on the
260.
I don't remember.
on the elevation shown on A2.
0.604040. I think it's 40.
Yeah, there it is right there.
A2.60
Oh, 60. Okay.
detail 2.
Mr. Chair?
To match the elevations. Thank you. Commissioner Drury?
So when a motion is made, the final approval is requested for the entire project? Or just what's presented today?
Yeah. What's presented today, and, not including the lighting and the right-of-way.
The lighting is part of it.
Oh, I'm sorry, the lighting. We didn't have a presentation on the lighting, but I don't think
The only change was
the only change was the
eliminating
eliminating the butterfly exhibit lighting. So it would be final approval on the lighting and the butterfly exhibit, the backyard, everything.
Except Puesta del Sol.
That's best, yeah. Everything except Puesta del Sol right away. So that would be, do you want to make that motion?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I move for final approval for the entire project with the exception of the right-of-way improvements.
Right-of-way, please.
What's that?
Puesta del Sol.
Puesta del Sol right-of-way. And what other?
Improvements. The Puesta del Sol right-of-way improvements.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
I'll second.
Was there not one other item that we did that was not on the?
Well, with the
There's signage,
comment,
but we've already done it.
Okay.
with the comments that the chair just made.
Okay.
Of course.
I'll second that.
No, it was, okay, I'll reread it for you. Study reducing the thickness of the entry portal on the stone returns on the interior of the vestibule as it relates to the stucco.
Did we ever check on the mortar that?
Okay, we had a motion by Drury, a second by Mahan. Under discussion, is there more discussion?
Final to come back to consent?
There was just, and there was.
Wait, one second. Is the maker of the motion okay
Yes.
with that? Seconder is
Yes.
okay with that? So the final details to come back to consent?
Thank you.
Commissioner Grumline, under discussion?
Did we ever check on the mortar color that's going to be used on these joints?
I don't think we did. Do you have that called out?
We don't have a sample, no.
No.
It's going to match the mortar, though, of the
gonna match
Hazard wall.
Stegosaurus wall.
Yeah,
Hazard
it's-
wall.
We don't have a.
What?
The hazard wall.
Call it Stegosaurus.
Scottish pick.
Scottish picket. All right. So that should be part of the motion that will return to consent.
To consent.
Okay? Do you have that?
I'm not sure I understand Mr. Grumbine's comment. To be honest.
We can clarify.
You understand it?
I understand it, but I'm happy to clarify.
It's the
That's
color.
fine. If you understand it, that's what matters.
I don't understand it.
Yeah, but we want everybody to know what it meant when we come back.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's probably worth clarifying.
Let's do that.
So it relates to, maybe I'll summarize how I understand it anyhow. This dimension on detail 5A2.61, 4 3/8 thickness dimension should be reduced.
That's how I
3 inches.
understood it. That's how I understood
Yeah.
it.
How are you going to reduce it without reducing the thickness of the wall?
It sacrifices an inch and bit off the wall.
Yeah, I don't care about that dimension. I care about how it looks.
the
I
20
want
inches here.
I want the 20 inches on the outside. That's
That
what
was- yeah.
matters.
Okay.
No, they don't.
You'd have to shim this up somehow all over the place, and that would be poor
I
construction.
think it's more important that arch be expressed with the
I
greatest
would
depth
agree with that.
possible, because the times you're going to turn around and look at that dimension.
It is awfully tight to the
You
corners, so.
might, but I might.
Okay, so we are striking comment. We are striking comment number 2, which was study reducing the thickness of the entry portal stone returns. Blah blah blah. Yeah, strike it completely. Nice. Emphatically, it's gone. Really, that must have hurt a little bit there.
That's why I'm at the end of the table.
So basically, there were the 3 comments, and that had to do with the welded wire mesh and the details shown on 82.40, and that the mortar return to consent. All those return to consent.
And the cap.
Oh, and the cap, I'm sorry. That's the details. And the mortar, I got that. All right. No more discussion. All in favor? Wait, we had a motion by, we had the motion by Drury. We had it second by Mahan. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Whew.
Congratulations.
An appeal. Finally.
Wow.
Our meeting is adjourned.
A keystone milestone.
Yes.
There you go. You got it.
We don't have any conference room except for Wednesday and Thursday, and staff cannot be there on Tuesday. You can meet on Tuesday morning at Anthony's or whenever without staff.
So I'm going to leave it up to the force ad hoc subcommittee members to set up a meeting whenever they would like.
Okay, so you're available, Bill, Tuesday,
10 o'clock,
10 o'clock?
10 to 12, at your office?
Yeah. You know where it is?
Address.
I'll email it to
In
everyone.
Delavina.
Yeah, Delavina.
Yeah.
Delavina. Korea.
Okay, Tuesday, 10 o'clock, and everybody do their homework, come prepared to make final things.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, one more
And
thing.
then they'll be ready to. They'll like to have another one with you on the week of the 19th before the HLC meeting on the 21st.
What, run that one by me again?
You would.
Who
They
wants
could,
to have
the
another
staff, so that they can. The staff said they would be happy to do another one with you before the next HLC meeting on the week of the 19th.
If we need it, we can schedule it, but they don't. It's not mandatory that we have that other one.
I don't think so.
It might be good to hold that place just so that if then after our
Okay,
meeting,
hold
we can
that place
decide.
and we'll know.
Okay, and then we'll put it on the agenda to report out. To the,
Thank you very
One
much.
more last thing, I encourage all of you. I did a version of Trump's saying, but we can
Make architecture great again.
for any of you who want to get a baseball cap.
All right. Also,
They are available.
They are available.
extend the invitation to HLC staff and HLC commissioners to the Santa Barbara Beautiful 2016 awards presentation that will be honoring, in part, Callum DeForest for the outstanding service in the community, the Jacaranda Award. So if anybody wants to go to that, please let me know as soon as possible. Yes. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.